Hello everyone, welcome back. So in our Selenium with Java series, today we are going to see how you can execute your test cases by using the GitHub Actions. So far we have seen how to run your test cases in your local by using testng, and also we have seen how we can run our test cases by using the Maven command and also in the Docker containers, right? So the same thing nowadays, it is becoming a popular option to run your test cases into the GitHub Actions. Now, what is GitHub Actions and why do we need to run into the GitHub Actions? All these things you can read from this quick starting guide from the GitHub itself. But in a nutshell, if I want to explain about GitHub Actions, so it's a basic workflow actually. So workflow in the sense, it is having couple of steps which is allowing you to run your test cases into the GitHub server actually. Now GitHub gives you a kind of a virtual machine environment. So instead of running the Docker container on your own machine, you have the Docker container into the GitHub server, and you can redirect all your test case executions to their container. Now there are a couple of benefits is that see, normally what happens, if it is in your local, you need to make it as active always, or else let's say if it is your own AWS containers, then you have to maintain that. Now what GitHub does, it gives you a free platform where you can download your code base into those Docker containers, and also you can run those test cases from inside the container itself. That is the main benefit, and it accepts the YML format. Like if you would have seen in our previous videos, we have used the Jenkins file, right? Now what is Jenkins file? Now it holds couple of commands that the Jenkins understand, the DSL or the domain specific language. So the same thing, now GitHub itself is supporting the YML format where you can give all these details. Now this is what we are going to see. Now just to talk about this, now how do you start it? A basic simple way is that you need to push your code into the GitHub. Okay, you need to create a repo and then you need to push your code. Now the next thing is that if you see that as soon as you pop it up, I mean if you open your project, you will see there is something called as Actions tab actually. Now you click on this Actions tab. Don't worry about these things, I was just doing some practicing. Okay, now when you click on this Actions tab, right, you will see everything is blank actually here. For the first time. Now you can click on the new workflow. Now when you click on this new workflow, right, and again it gives you a couple of options. Now consider these things as your plugins actually, because see, workflow in this sense, you have to perform certain tasks, right, by steps. Now to perform those tasks, they give you certain actions actually. So now these are called as actions or steps, whatever you call it. Okay, now see, every project is different. The way we run, the way we make it as packages from the development standpoint. So if it is a Java, you might be using Maven or Gradle. If it is a Node.js package, Node.js code, or like JavaScript or TypeScript, you need a Node package manager. Okay, or you need to download the Node. Okay, so the same thing. Now because this is a Java project, I need to configure my workflow based on this particular plugin. So Java with Maven, a simple kind of a workflow or an action that I need to configure. Now I will click on this configure. Now this creates a new directory actually in my particular, or a file format actually, or a folder structure. It changes the folder structure of my framework. You can see under my parent folder, right, there is a .github. It means that it's a extension of that is .github, and then under that it creates a workflow folder. Under that it creates a maven.yml. You can change it to something else actually, there is no problem with that, and it gives you a couple of commands here. Now let's understand these commands a little bit here. Now you will see that the name, so some name it is giving Java CI with Maven, you can change it to anything. Okay, and then here you will see something. See, YML format in this sense, it gives you like some what do you call, this is my parent section, and under that I can have list of options actually there. That is the YML format. Now here if you see, on means the triggering point, when exactly you want to trigger it. Let's say that I'm saying that when someone pushes any code to my GitHub repository, right? Now that time you trigger this particular workflow. Even we can manually run also. I will tell you that in the later point of time. Now branches, which branch? Now if I am pushing to my main branch, then only you trigger this workflow, whether you want to build your code, whether you want to run your code, or you want to generate a report. Anything that you want to do inside this, that has to be triggered if somebody is either pushing any code or raising a pull request. Any one of this. Even you can, there are a lot of options. You can get into this, you can search for on command and it will give you when exactly you can trigger it. There are a lot of examples also they are giving here, so you need not to worry about that. Okay, now jobs in this sense, what exactly it needs to perform. Now there has to be a build, or there has to be a execution of your test cases. Okay, now where do you do that? Okay, that is runs on, then the value is Ubuntu latest. Now the GitHub action, right, or the GitHub server that maintains different formats of Docker containers. At this moment, the basic one is the Ubuntu latest. It's a Ubuntu operating system that you need to take it. Okay, fine. After that, what you need to do? Okay, you need to check out the code. Now think about in a very manual way. Now I have this particular GitHub repository. Now I'm giving you, oh, okay, hey, can you execute this on your local machine? What you need to do that? First of all, you need to clone it. That is nothing but it is doing the checkout in this sense. From this GitHub account, right, it pulls the latest code into this particular container. Okay, that is what this particular action is doing. As I told, inside that particular workflow, right, this is my workflow. Inside this workflow, there are a lot of actions. As a stepwise I need to mention it, and those actions can be called by using this particular command as uses. Okay, now here you will be calling this. There are a lot of actions. If you search with git actions, you will see all these formats with their version and also their usage. You consider this as your method, actually some kind of method you are preparing. Now that is what Git is already made for you, and those methods you are utilizing it. These methods can have separate different parameters. I'll show you that. Okay, after once you pull this, right, now think about this as a new machine. Okay, so first thing is that you need to pull the code. The second thing is that it's a Java project. It means that you need to make sure if the Java is installed on your machine or not, and that is what we are going to do here, is that setting up the JDK. Okay, and I want the 11 version. You can name it anything. Okay, here you see, for this we haven't given any name. For this we are giving a name, so it's very optional. Now uses in this sense, as I told, we need to have an action for that. Now the action is action/setup Java version 3. Version 3 is nothing but for this actions version 3. It means that they will keep on changing that method, and now the latest version is version 3. That's it. Now this particular action setup Java, right, that accepts certain parameters. As I told, compare it with a method or a function. Now here with in the sense, you need to provide certain parameters. That has to be a key value pair. Okay, my version, I want to set up the Java JDK or the SDK. No, it's the JDK only. JDK with version 11. The distribution has to be Tamarind, and then the cache is the Maven. Okay, so this is the format I want to use it, and that you need not to worry about that. If you have any questions, you can simply copy this one and paste it into the GitHub Actions, and in Google you specify that, and it gives you with the documentation and everything. You can see all these details are there here. Now we have installed our Java. There is no problem with that. Now the second thing is that, or the next thing is that, I need to download all the packages from my pom.xml, right? If consider it as a new repo that you cloned it recently. So that is what I am going to do, build with Maven. Now see, at this moment I don't have the IntelliJ, right? I need to like what you call import that particular project and manually click on the Maven refresh. So for that reason I need to use commands actually here, and that is why we have already discussed about the mvn commands. So there is a command called package. Now what this package normally does, this is creating a package out of that, right? Now at this moment I really don't need all these things, because if I run my mvn test command, right, it indirectly pulls all the what you call jar files from the pom.xml dependencies whatever I've mentioned, and also it runs my test case. This is for more into the development aspect, like if you want to create a package out of your project. For sure I really don't need all these things, but you can even use the maven clean command and you can say package, or even you can say install. Okay, so if you remember we have these maven commands, right? Or like I would say that the phases or the life cycle. Okay, now you can see the clean command is my first command. Clean is nothing but a simple way all your target folders will be cleaned it. Now at this moment I don't have anything, right? So there is nothing to clean it here, but still I will be keeping, let's say continuously you are running your test cases there, so keep on creating the target folder, right? So you can simply clean that, clean in the sense deleting that before executing your test cases. Install command, see basically I don't really need the install command also. I'll tell you why. Because whenever I'm going to do this test command, right, it automatically installs those things, so I can leave as it is there, so I don't really need to worry about that. But at this moment let me just keep the test only, because my main logic is to run the test cases. So maven clean test, I'm just using this command here, and then after that it is saying that full dependency. See, I don't really want to do any package creation, right? So I don't need this particular the step actually here, or this action is not at all required for me, so I can simply delete it. Okay, fine. Now at this moment let's keep up to this much. See, even I can report, I can keep the report also, artifacts, right? What are the artifacts? The artifacts are nothing but from here it is coming. If you want to create any kind of a report generation, okay, so those things also I can create it there. So at this moment let's just limit with ourselves the basic one, that it should execute my test cases. That's it. Now after this, see on what basis this workflow will be activated? If I'm doing a push command. Okay, now that is what I'm going to do here, that I'm committing a new file and committing and pushing this code. Now I'm doing in the GitHub itself only. I will be pulling the code here and I will be changing something. At this moment let's just commit this, and then you should see there is a new folder structure created, as I told, .github workflows, right? And now if I go to this actions, right, you can see before it wasn't there. Now Java CI with Maven, a new workflow created, and you can see it is in progress. So something is happening. Now let's see what is exactly happening. So build, now you can see here, now there is some error it is coming, no need to worry about that. But you can see that it first checked out in this sense into the Ubuntu container into the GitHub, right? It first pulled the code, after that it even set up the Java. You can see the Java is also installed, and then after that it is trying to do mvn clean test. So as you can see there is some error it is showing. Now the problem is that it is not able to identify this XML file or the variable value from the pom.xml. I'll show you that. Now if you go to this pom.xml, right, into this here XML file, and we have specified this as a variable, but we haven't really hard coded anything. Like here you can see I've commented because of our last session stuff. So what I can do here, so instead of creating this particular command, right, so okay, let me do one thing. First let's pull this particular code actually, like from here because I don't want to each time change it inside this particular GitHub repository. Instead of that, what I'm going to do, first I will be pulling these particular changes, whatever I have updated there. So I'll do a git pull, and now it should come. Now you can see that it created a new one here. Okay, now inside this I will be keep on changing that. So here what I'm going to do, now I have to make sure that this pom.xml's XML file should hold a valid testng XML file. That is what I'm going to do. So what is the command for that? We have already discussed this one. So XML file equal to, I will be taking this particular XML file. If you have a different naming convention, don't worry about that. You can assign that as well. That's it. You just need to specify this much only. Okay. Now, once I commit this one, right, at that moment, it should trigger actually here, because at every push or pull request, I'm going to execute this particular workflow automatically. So now this particular GitHub Actions does two things. One is it is auto triggering based on a condition, and also it is auto executing your test cases also. Now that is the benefit about that. Okay, now at this moment what I'm going to do, I will be also uploading the artifact also. Like for that, what I'm going to do here, so I'll create another step actually here, and I will give some name here. So space name and colon, and you can just say that archive artifacts or artifact, whatever it is there. Now for this I need to use the users command, and I need to use another actions, and then that is called as upload artifact. And this I'm not giving my own name. There is an existing upload artifact. It has to be exactly same, like how if you're calling a function, right, it has to be a proper naming convention. And now this has couple of parameters that I need to specify as list. So the name, I have to give some name here. So I'll give Spark HTML, some name I'm giving, and then I need to provide the path in the sense from where it should pick up the HTML file, right? Now if I go to my this repository, right, you see this, and then if you see that normally, let's go inside this src folder, and then main java base, and then you go to this extent manager. I think here we have specified, and you can see under reports folder we should be getting this particular spark.html. So now I will be copying this one. So this is the exact path from where I need to get my path actually. So this is the directory. You can even, like, let's say that there are multiple files under this reports which you want to take it, so you can also give the regular expression as reports/start.html, like this you can do. Okay, now let's stick with this particular execution. Okay, just to save time I have added that here, because see, I don't want continuously to kind of keep on pushing that. I will be doing that. There are some more problems that we will be facing that I haven't really spoke about that, but I will be telling that in a moment. Fine, now I need to commit this. See, before I'm committing, I want to do one thing actually. See, at every time I want to execute something, right, into this particular workflow, I have to do some changes and push it, then only it triggers. But there are other ways as well where we can even run manually as well. Okay, what you can do like this, and here you can say that workflow dispatch. So what this does, this allows you to run manually as well inside these actions. Now you can see there is no option to run manually, but once I do this, right, workflow dispatch, it allows you to run it from here. Okay, I'll show you that later. Okay, so now let me commit this. I'll select this one, and I will say that add GitHub workflow, some name I'm giving, and then I'm doing a commit and push. I shouldn't be doing in this main branch itself. I should be creating a separate branch, doing all the changes, then pull the latest code up main, and then merge these two things and raise a PR. So that is the basic standardized way in real time. But at this moment I'm just doing a normal update because I'm the only one who is maintaining this particular repo. And you can see as soon as I push this code, right, and you can see that it just changed, it just pushed the latest changes and the action is getting triggered here. Now let's see if it is successfully downloading everything or not. So, and you can see couple of things now it is doing. Actually it means that that error is now no longer exist, the previous error, but there is a separate error now it got. Let's see what, and it's, you can see that it is also downloading the packages which I have put it as a dependencies, right? Those things it downloaded, that's why you can see a huge list. So what I'm going to do, I'll quickly go down so that we can see the exact error of that. Okay, you can see there is some error it is giving. Okay, so let's see what is that. It's saying that no display environment variable specified. Now the problem here is that these containers are non-GUI based containers. The Docker containers which we used, right, the Selenium Docker containers, those were UI based. It means that what is happening inside that container, right, there is a UI option is available, but these GitHub containers, right, these are non-GUI based, just to reduce the space and performance enhancement. They don't give you all this UI stuff into that. So for this, what you need to do, you need to run all your test cases into a headless mode. Okay, so for this we have to do certain changes into our framework actually. Now let's see where exactly we have done all these changes. Now if you go and see here, right, now these are the different implementations we have done. One is if you want to run it in local, you need to make sure driver equal to new Chrome driver. If you want to run it in remote, into this sense our Docker containers, then you have to make sure that you need to use the remote WebDriver. Now at this moment also we are running into a local container actually. See, for GitHub itself, the code base is inside the Docker, and then the running is also inside a Docker container. Okay, so that is why it has to be a local execution only. Okay, so inside the Docker container it is local, and then you need to make sure that it should be in a non-GUI mode. It means that we need to do something so that when it is running into the local also, it should include the non-GUI mode or the headless mode. Now for that, what I can do, I can write a particular method actually. Okay, a utility. I will show you that. Well, I'm going to create one static method actually, and let's say I will be giving Chrome options. So the return type is Chrome options. Okay, Chrome options, and then here I will create one method, and that should say get Chrome options, and inside that I will be sending the desired capabilities. Okay, I'll show you at the end, you will understand what I'm trying to do. I think I need to do inside this because this is, I'm writing outside of the class, that's why it is throwing error. Yep. Now here what I'm going to do, I need to add certain Chrome options. Now cp equal to new Chrome options. Okay, and then here I need to make sure that cp dot add arguments, I need to add the arguments here. Now the first argument is that I need to run it in headless mode, right? So I will be specifying like this, headless. Okay, that is my first one, and this actually I want to run it when on GitHubActions, because that's what it is accepting, the headless mode. You can even redirect it to your local Dockers also, there is no problem with that. I need to add some other arguments as well, which is recommended when you are running inside the Docker containers. After that, you will be taking this set capability, and then you need to mention this Chrome options dot capability, and you can see, dot capability, comma, you need to specify this, and now you need to merge actually this one. So cp dot merge, and this is the way actually you need to really integrate your capabilities with your Chrome options. As simple as that. I'm really not doing any other magics here. And then I need to return this CP. That's it. CP is nothing but the Chrome options. Okay, now this Chrome options, right, I will be taking it here actually into this particular. So somewhere I need to call that. Now how do I call it? Now that is the question. See, normally what I'm going to do here, I'll create out of this. So inside this, I won't be keeping it as a what do you call, only when executing in local only you need to call this particular method or something. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do here is that I will be creating a new parameter here. Don't get confused, I will tell you later actually. Now this actually, the way that I'm creating this one, right, you can use it in any kind of framework. That is the beauty of this implementation. And here I will be taking a new parameter actually. I will say enable browser options, some variable name I'm giving it. Okay, and this one I will be keeping it here, and then initially I'm saying false. That's it, just keep it. Now here what I'm going to do, I will say if app dot enable browser options, okay, equal to true actually, then only you take all these actions into that, or the Chrome options. So I'll say dot equal ignore case, okay, ignore case only when it is true. Okay, it has to be, you can put it as a string instead of making it as a boolean. So if it is there, then only you call that. Now this Chrome options, right, I need to set it up. So Chrome options equal to get Chrome options of and send the capabilities from here. That's it. You just need to do, see here I have created the object and I'm sending this capability here, though there is nothing at this moment. But what I'm doing here, I'm merging this Chrome options with the capabilities and sending this Chrome option here. Okay, now I should be using this Chrome options somewhere, and this has to be CO, and here you can specify as CO, and here also CO. Okay, so here I'm keeping this particular parameter. So before I have kept it as a driver equal to new Chrome driver blank, right? Now at this moment I'm taking this CO actually here. Now this Chrome driver can accept capabilities, can accept the Chrome options, anything. See, capabilities we have taken here, sorry, Chrome options here. Okay, sorry, I changed the name, right? So Chrome options I can do like this. Okay, now let's see what is the error. Oh, okay, so the error is here actually. You should be specifying this. Okay, so now this return, where is the error? Okay, there is no other errors now, so we should be good now. Okay, so like this you can set it up. See, the only intention of calling this if method is that if I'm specifying into the Maven command, then only you run it into the non-GUI mode. So I'm just making these things as flexible for you guys. Based on the need only you will be calling those features. If not, it is not required. Now how do I really run it? So normally what we need to do, Maven test. Now let's say that you want to run it into the non-GUI mode and into the local. See, local is the default actually here, so you need not to worry about that. I don't need to specify like this platform equal to local, because this is my already, this is my what do you call default value. But here what I'm going to do, if I want to run it into a non-GUI mode, I'll just say like this. See how neatly you have the flexibility to run it into different ways, and that is what I am specifying all this implementation here, so that you can call these options as it is. So it means that now I can run this particular command into this particular GitHub actions here. Now let's come back to this. Now we are changing our way actually here. So after this I will say that, see, I don't need to specify run it in local, because inside this container I have already downloaded the code, and there itself only I'm running it. So you don't need to really worry about what do you call all those options that okay, I mean remote and all these things. It is local. So Maven clean test, which file I want to run, which test.ng XML, and then I'm saying that it has to be enabled with browser options. It means that all those headless mode, it should be executing it, and if it becomes successful, it should take the archive, or it should archive the HTML report. Okay, now this is in my local actually. Now I want to run it into the GitHub Actions. It means that now if I am pushing to my main branch, because I have to push it now, it should trigger that, and all these changes I'm taking it. So here I think one more change I need to do. Just give me a moment. So here if you see that I mean when we are into the Firefox, see, I'm not giving to the Firefox this one, because here if you see this enable browser options, I have only added for this only, because this accepts Chrome options. The same thing, let's say you want to run it in Firefox, then you have to specify this enable browser options dot equal ignore case true, but you don't need to call this get Chrome options. Rather what you need to do, you need to write the equivalent code for the Firefox options. So here you need to say get ff options, some name you need to specify like this, and this has to be Firefox options, like that you need to specify. At this moment I'm just commenting this one, but I'm telling this, the concept what I have written, that is only applicable for Chrome only. You can try it for Firefox if you want to run it. Okay, so that is one thing I wanted to inform. Now let's do everything, and here I'll say that oops, sorry, now instead of add, I'm saying that update GitHub workflow and enable browser options, some name I'm giving, and then commit and push, commit anyway and push. Let's push it, and now let's see all those things. Now let me go back to this summary, and it should have now, yep, no, not here. Let's come back here, and you can see that the latest changes are already updated into this GitHub repo, and also it started triggering those actions as well. And you can see that now 3 tests are running. Okay, why? Because we have made it as parallel. So if you see that this particular, where is that, let's come back here, the test.ng, you can see that it is running in Chrome. Actually first thing is that it should run in Chrome, and everything has to be in parallel only. There is some error is coming, let's see that, and this is the problem. You have to really drag it down to see the error. Actually I think Chrome it executed. Okay, so there is some issue with WebDriver manager error. Okay, no problem. So you can see the Firefox did not execute it. Why? Because again the same problem only. For Firefox we haven't really set up those Firefox options, right? That is why it didn't execute it here actually. But when you want to run for Firefox, you have to just add that if this same option in this as well, so that it will execute it. So you have to pass the Chrome options, and here also you need to specify the Chrome options, the Firefox options, and then it should execute. Now let's see, and you see that the archive artifact did not execute it. It skipped actually. The reason is that if there is any error is coming here, right, any failures or any errors, it did not go to the next line of the step actually. Now that is the one more restriction it has actually. Now just to avoid that, actually this is problem with the Maven actually. What Maven normally does, if there is any failures, test case failures or any error, it already tells to the next step that there is some error. So the build is becoming fail actually. Now build in this sense, see, when there is any failure into this particular command, right, it considers this entire step is as failing, and that's how it is stopping. It's like throwing an exception, and then it doesn't really go to this next step. But there is a way, actually, we need not to worry about that. I will tell you that command also. Now there is a command which you need to specify, dmaven dot test failure. See, all these are because of my test failures, right? I will say ignore equal to true. Now what it is saying that when there is a test failure is coming, right, you ignore that. I mean, ignore in this sense, you display what is the failure here. There is, I'm not saying that you skip these errors, don't display these errors. I'm not saying, I'm saying that though there is some error, there is no problem, you ignore it and proceed to the next step. That is what I'm specifying here. dmaven test failure dot ignore equal to true. Okay, now let me push this code. Okay, now it pushed the code, and also it should now would have triggered a new build actually. And you can see that the new build is now triggered. It will take some time. And for sure, I haven't handled the Firefox, so it will be failing as usual, but it should now archive the artifact. That is what my expectation. And let's see, and you can see the archive artifact also generated. So before it wasn't coming, but now it is, it executed it, though there is some failure actually. Yeah, you can see that there are like couple of test cases got executed, but then couple of failures happened because of the Firefox setup we haven't done really. But you can see all the Chrome options executed properly. There is no issue with that. Okay, now let's see how to get this archive artifact. Now let's see where exactly it created this particular archive, because it says that artifact spark HTML, the name of the particular step, successfully uploaded. Now if you want to really see that, right, you have to go to this summary. Okay, and this is my build actually which got executed, and you can see bottom there is a artifact created spark HTML. From where it is coming? This name actually, and it should include all the HTMLs that is present inside this reports directory. And if I click on this, it should download that particular spark HTML, and let me download extract and show you what it is. And you can see from my local, whichever I have done, right, now that's where it is coming. Also all these three test cases related to the Chrome executed with the report it is coming. Okay, so that is how you can execute your Selenium test cases into your GitHub Actions. Now you can try the Firefox to include Firefox options and then run it in parallel, and let's see if it is really executing or not. And after this, see now, okay, I wanted to show you this workflow dispatch feature, right? Now if I go here, let's go to this actions. This is my action name, right? And you can see before, at the beginning when we started this actions, we didn't have this particular option, but now you can really run this workflow. And also, you know what, you can have a couple of options here itself only, like like Jenkins, right? In Jenkins you can click on the build now, then it will execute everything. So it is the same way only, like you don't want to really change anything. Let's say there is some issue happened into your application, and then the developer fixed the code. Now your manager or lead is saying to execute your test cases not on your machine but into the GitHub Actions. So there is nothing really you need to change your code right here, your framework. So how do you execute? Now something you need to change, at least a space or something to commit it so that the execution can be triggered. So instead of that, what you can do, you can manually come back to this particular actions, and you can come back and you can run this workflow. So how it triggered automatically? The same way you can manually trigger. Even we can have certain options here as well while in this only, like you can have, I want to run on Chrome, I want to run on Firefox, like all these options whichever we have maintained for our framework, right? All these things whichever I'm sending from my terminal as well. So like for an instance, I'm saying d browser equal to Chrome, okay, or I want to run into the remote, or I want to run into a new testng.xml. All these parameters you can even specify here. So stay tuned, we will see that in our upcoming session. So that's pretty much it for today. Hope this session is useful. Do subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching.